Hi everybody, welcome to the last video in Business Calculus, section 13.2, application in business and economics. Of course, the application that deals with integration. Right, so in this section, the first part is probability density function. So a probability density function must satisfy the following three conditions. It has to be positive, so that's good. So this area under the curve works perfectly. The area from negative infinity to 1 is going to be 1. So the total probability have to be 1, and each one of them has to be positive. And if C to D the subinterval, then the probability from C to D of certain function is going to be the integral from C to D of that function. Right, we have one example here. Suppose the length of a telephone call in minutes is given by this. So as a function of time, so time cannot be negative, so that's why we give 0 here. And the function is 1 over 4 e to negative t over 4. Right. And determine the probability that a call selected at random will last between 2 and 3 minutes. So we just have the probability, just use that, last between 2 and 3 minutes. Just make less than equal to. So it will be 2 to 3 and the function. Of course, from 2 to 3, we're going to use this function because that is greater than 0, right? Right, so we just need to evaluate this. Now, for this, I will use substitution. Let u be negative t over 4. Or negative 1 over 4t. Derivative of that is negative 1 over 4. Cross multiply 4 du equal to negative dt, and take the negative over, we have negative 4 du equal to dt. Right, and now this one has the limit. Originally t goes from 2 to 3. Now we change the limits. U equal to negative 1 over 4 times t, which is 3, so negative 3 over 4. And when t equal to 2, u equal to negative 1 over 4 times 2, so negative 1/2. 2 over 4 reduced by 2 is negative 1/2. Right, so we have everything for the substitution. Now the limits will go from negative 1/2 to negative 3/4. Still 1/4 here. Negative t over 4, that is u, and dt is negative 4 dt, negative 4 du, sorry. Right, and of course we can take the 4 outside, from the will be in the bottom and negative 4 on the top. Of course they cancel out, so we have negative 4 on the top, 4 at the bottom, which reduced to negative 1. Now we go from negative 1/2 to negative 3/4, and out left is e to the u du. Right. Integral of e to the u is e to the u, so we go from negative 1/2 to negative 3/4. Of course I forgot the negative, sorry. And now we're going to substitute in the upper limit. And subtract where we substitute in the lower limit. Right, negative and negative, that's a plus. So that's what we have, right? So let's just try to find that values. Negative e to the negative 3/4 plus e to the negative 1/2. Right, so that's about 0.134, and because we said any of that, any probability have to be less than 1, the total is going to be 1, but for this particular form between 2 to 3 minutes, it's going to be 0.134, meaning that about 13.4%. Right, we just have one example on that. The next one is continuous income stream. So if we're going to finance this or other business math class, then you'll probably see this more often. But here we just have, let's say if it is continuous income stream of money, then it will be given by this integral. That is from A to B. Now, if it is the rate of an income stream, and if it's invest at the rate R, and the compound is continuously, then the future values is given by this. We will not have any example in this part of the section. Right, number 3. Consumer surplus and producer surplus. Right, consumer surplus. If X bar P bar is a point on the graph of the price demand equation for particular produce on for the particular product, then the consumer surplus at the price P is given by this. So we have the price demand equation or like this. X is the product, X is the quantity, and P is the price. And of course, this should be a decrease function. The higher the quantity, I'm about to say, the higher the price, the smaller the quantity demand. So this is the price demand, right? So the price higher will be less and less product are demanded. The cheaper the price, people more willing to buy it, therefore the quantity demand will be more. And at some certain price level, we have that. So the consumer surplus given by this formula from 0 to X bar is this area. So loosely speaking, the consumer surplus represents the total saving to the consumer who are willing to pay more than the price P bar, even still be able to buy P hat. So that is the total saving of all consumer willing to pay higher price for some certain amount of quantity. Right, so that is just that area. And notice that the demand is the price demand equation is a decreasing function. right? So it's pretty straightforward, right? Then, let's go to some example. I'll find the consumer surplus at the price level of $8. So that is P bar is 8. For the price demand equation is that. So the consumer surplus will be from 0 to X bar of the demand equation, the price demand equation, subtract the P bar, evaluate. In this case, what is X bar? Right, we don't know that, so we have to solve for it. But it go from 0 to something, right? So here we have price demand equation 20 minus 0.05x. Now we know P hat is 8. So 20 minus 0.05x. And we solve for it. Subtract 20 on both sides. We have negative 12 equal negative 0.05x. And divide by negative 0.05 from negative 12. We have 2400. And since this is the P bar, we have the X bar equal to 2400. Right, the price demand equation is 20 minus 0.05x. Subtract the P bar is 8. So we have integral from 0 to 2400. 20 minus 8, so that is 12 minus 0.05x dx. Right, so that gives us integral of 12 is 12x, and integral of that 0.05 x squared over 2 from 0 to 2400. Right, put 2400 in for x. And then substitute in 0. So that gives us 0 because there's 0 here and 0 there. Right, 12 times 2400 minus 0.05 times 2400 square divided by 2. Right, so that, alright, sorry, here I divide by an extra 0 here, so that's only 240, not 2400. Sorry about that. I have an extra 0 here when we divide, so that should be 240 only. Of course, this should not be negative because we're still talking about the area between two curves. So it's only 240. Right. Do this again. Delete 1 0. Right. And we have 1440. Right, like that. This should be positive. Right, because the price demand equation is decreasing, that above the price. So we subtract those two, evaluate, and that's what we have. Right. Now the producer surplus. If X bar P bar is the point on the graph of the supply demand equation, then the producer surplus is given at that. Right. Now, once again, X is quantity, and the P is the price. In this case, we have the level P bar. And the supply equation is an increasing function. Right. It is increasing function because the higher the price, the more quantity the manufacturer want to supply. Right. The higher the price, the more willing of them willing to sell, to produce and then sell. Right. They're willing to supply, let's just say that. So, in that case, it is an increasing function, and the area between the two functions is called the producer surplus. Loosely speaking, the producer surplus represents the total gain to the producer who are willing to supply the unit at a lower price than the P bar. So that's what we have. Right? So the P bar is above the supply but below the demand. So we put the demand supply function that will be above this line. Right. Now, let's look at this example. And the producer surplus is equal from 0 to X bar, where P bar minus the price supply function. Right, once again, we don't know the X bar, we know the price is at $20. We do know the function too. 30. Right, just don't know the X bar. So we can solve for it based on this. Right. Now, this is equal to 20. Right, subtract 2 on both sides, we have 18 equal to 0.0. Once again, I did 30 after the decimal point. And then divide by that. So 18 divided by 0.0002. We have 90,000. And take the square root on both sides. So x equal to plus or minus square root of 90,000. $300. So 20 minus 2 is 18. Minus a negative, that's a plus. So we just need to evaluate that. 0 to 300 to 18 plus 0.0002 x squared. I'm just evaluate this with the calculator. 7,200. Right. So once again, that represents the total gain to the producer who are willing to supply unit at a lower price than P. Right. So once again, supply is increasing function, demand is a decreasing function. So one is above the price and one is below the price. Now, note that in the free competitive market, the price of the product is determined by the relationship between the supply and demand. So if we have the price, demand, and price supply equation, the point X bar, P bar represent the point of equilibrium when X bar is the equilibrium quantity and P bar is the equilibrium price. Right. We have this example here. Find the equilibrium price and then find the consumer surplus and the producer surplus. Let's typo here. Right, so first find the equilibrium price. Equilibrium. Right, meaning that the price and demand equation are equal each other and then we solve for it, pretty much. Equal to the supply right. So let's move everything on one side, move everything to this side. So we have 0.0002 x squared plus 0.05 x. 2 minus 20 is minus 18. Right, we divide by 0.0002, so we have the coefficient of x squared is 1. Right, so divide both sides by 0.0002. That gives x squared. Now 0.05 divided by 0.0002, 250, and 18 divided by that. We have 90,000. Right, now we just put in a quadratic formula and solve it. Negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Right, negative 250 plus or minus. Right, we have 250 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 90,000. We have that. And what is square root of that? $650. So one of them is negative 250 plus 650 divided by 2. Of course, that 400 divided by 2, so 200. So 400 divided by 2 is 200. 250 and 650, that negative 900, so negative 450. Well, that's negative. We know the answer cannot be negative because x is the quantity, must be positive, so that's 200. So we have x bar is 200. Right, if x bar is 200, we can substitute in either one of them. 20 minus 0.05, and now it's 200. Just 10. Right, so now with that we can draw a little sketch. Quantity, price, and equilibrium price. I'm sorry, got that. This would be P bar. Equilibrium price P bar is equal to 10. Right, and even though this one is the demand, this one is supply, we don't really need to know that. When we look at it, we should be able to know which one which. Again, the demand, the higher the price, the less quantity demand. So demand is decreasing function. So we know the demand. Actually, this is the equation of a line, so it's going down like this. So this is the demand function. And this is the supply function. The higher the quantity supply, the higher the price. The higher the price, the more willing the producer want to supply. So it will go, and when x equal to 0, this equal to 2, so it go like this. And this is supply equation. So with that, we have the consumer surplus here and the producer surplus here. And then this is the consumer surplus. Right. So yeah, our consumer surplus is above the price. Producer surplus is below the price. So that's what we have. Right, next we just find the consumer surplus and the producer surplus. So let's find consumer surplus. So consumer surplus is above the price. So we take the price, demand function, subtract the equilibrium price, going from 0 to P, 0 to X bar. Which is equal to 10 in this case. I mean 200, sorry. So we have 0 to 200. The demand demand equation. So we have 20 minus 0.05 x subtract 10. So put parentheses like this. Right. So 0 to 200. 20 minus 10, so that is 10. minus 0.05 x dx. I'm just going to use a calculator here. That gives us 1,000. And now find the producer surplus. Producer surplus from 0 to x bar, and then the price is above the supply. The price supply. So the price is above S of x dx. X bar is 200. The price is 10. And let's draw a line here. Put an extra 0 for no reason. The supply is 2 plus 0.0002 x squared dx, 0 to 200. 10 minus 2, that's 8, minus 0.00002 x squared dx. Right, just put in the calculator, and can we have a fraction from here? Right, nope, so I guess 1066.67. That's good enough. Right, so once again, the consumer surplus is whatever above the price, and the producer surplus is below the price. So we know that, so we know which one minus which. One of them is subtract the price, and one of them is the price subtract from the price. Right, so with that, we finished everything I want to cover for business calculus. Thank you for watching.